So it's myself, Margaretha Eriksson, and
Kapfält.
And just to let you know a little bit of who we are and why we ended up doing this. I have some 20 years too in the CM for Ericsson and for Bombardier and for Saab and, Tetra Pak. That was just the previous stint before I came to Volvo. Volvo had serious issues, and I think it was thanks to Tom very much that I was brought in.
Not the issues were not because of me.
No, the issues were not. And I was working with hardware mainly because that is what Volvo CE does in Braås in Småland. They build dumper trucks, big yellow machines. These machines consist of a lot of mechanics, like 40 tons of steel. And then we have software.
A bit short of myself. I have worked 25 years CM. Started at Ericsson, as I think most of the CMers are. Good education for Ericsson. It's a good school, for sure, for 10 years. I've been working at Volvo, Scania, Bombardier, lots of places, Saab as well. Right now I'm working as a consultant, and until yesterday I didn't have an assignment, but now I have one. So I will go back to Volvo to work in this process. So that's someone up there may fix this well.
Good.
Yeah, so my role was the strategic CM, the role that Robert I think has right now, to work within the electronic department. Lots of software. Some guys of you are only working in software. That's an easy piece. But then, as we heard, we have to work with the hardware and big things in the hardware here. So how do we cope with that? How can we improve that? Because there was a lot of pajkastning in Swedish.
Blame games.
Blame game. When we came in, because no one did take responsibility in Braås where the requirements are set, and we should develop in Eskilstuna. So shit in, shit out, so to say, and no one. They blamed each other for everything, and it was not my fault, it was your fault, etc. That's not a good working climate. So that was the background why we sat down and see, hey, we need to do something here.
And just for information, the distance between Braås and Eskilstuna is about 400 kilometers, and that's like an ocean. So you don't need to talk to each other, or do we? So we established a way of actually creating communication. So if you take it from a background point of view, there's a product platform for dumper tractors, and Braås, out in the forest, really 25 kilometers out of Växjö, there's a production unit as well as design unit. So that works perfect. You can check what you've done, and that part runs smoothly when it comes to mechanics and steel. However, we have these guys in Eskilstuna, 400 kilometers away. We do have email, we do have phones, but there's not much of personal contacts. And software is an evil thing, as the mechanical engineers see. They know hydraulics, they know other stuff, but software is like, So what happens? We get systems that are incompatible. We build machines in Braås, we put them to the testing ground, and then comes the software package installed, and it doesn't work. Blame game.
Do you recognize this, what we're talking about? Yes or no? No?
Of course.
Yes? No? Okay, silence, that means yes.
And that caused a lot of rework, because of course there was other guys that done wrong. The concept of interface control was not there.
Yes, so the goal here was to sit down together and try to work out a good way of handle these changes that comes frequently. So we set up. Sorry.
Du får då prata lite högre.
Higher. Okay. Okay. Sorry. So the goal was to establish a process for change management, and this was the goal that we set down.
And we need to emphasize this is the change management for development process. There was a good process for change management when it comes to maintenance. That was very good. But nothing on the development side. So we could actually reuse a bit of the traditions of change management for maintenance. We could use those terms, they were known at least. On the other hand, software was not much involved in the maintenance process because machines break down sort of mechanically more often than software made. What did we do then? How did we start?
Yeah, how did we start? What's the first thing that we do then? At our site in Eskilstuna, we sat down to analyze what type of activities are we doing here and what do we miss. And the same in Brås, so
Yeah.
we sat down to analyze there.
And we spent some time to look into the business systems because both me and my colleague, past Eriksson people, expected there to be something about configuration management. And we didn't find anything. We didn't believe our eyes. We looked another time and we still didn't find anything. So I think it's now there, a little bit more. There is a process. We also looked into who are interested in this, who are stakeholders. Our manager, the construction manager, he was definitely interested because he had to sign decisions on implementing software changes that he had no clue whatsoever they meant. There were also other people like purchasing and also production. And of course the engineers. They needed to know what is this all about. The electrical and electronics engineers as well as the mechanical engineers.
So what we did then is to sit down together to try to establish this process, how we should work, and then we have to train. I mean, it's not just to create the process and then say, okay, we have a process. Is it established? No, it's not established because everyone needs to know that it's available. They have been trained in it as well, and they understand why we need to have it. That's a big thing to do. The purpose with it, why should we have it? We have always done like this. Yeah, you have, but this will improve things for everyone, for sure. So that's the purpose is really important to know, to educate all the people that will work in this process to understand why we need it. That's really good thing to do.
And to set the limits of this process, who can decide on what? Because what the situation we had was that people said, well, I'd like to change this interface, or I'd like to change this. They didn't even think about the interface. So they changed something and didn't tell the electronics team or the software team because they didn't know they exist, or that was a dependency. So bringing all the lives in the room and have a discussion, what do we need to work together on? What kind of parameters do you have in each project, in each part of the process? And then we had to tell everybody. And again, it took meetings and more meetings. Training is a part of that. We used the intranet and a lot of talking.
And then we had, there was different ways of handling the changes, I think from Excel list to local tools, etc. And some did not use tools because they didn't know that they needed to use it. So what we tried to set up there was, even if we didn't have the same tools, but we need to have tools that can cooperate between each other, between Eskilstuna and between Bråås. I don't know how far they have come with this to common tools. I know that there was an initiative ongoing there, so I don't know what level there, but this was an important thing, that every information is available for those who needs the information. I mean, there is some kind of authorities. Everybody shouldn't do everything there, because then we don't have control of it. So it should be like authority levels as well with it.
And you can imagine when me and my colleague Görel, as well as Per, sitting dreaming of, could we just have a piece of MH web for those who work at Ericsson? Somewhere we can actually put everything that has not worked as trouble reports and follow up on there. We made something similar. We had a SharePoint system for intranet. We built something there that was accessible to both Eskilstuna and to the people in Bråås. And you think, do you need to build a tool like that? And yeah, because there was none. And there was no budget to buy one or introduce that. So we made a very simple tool, mainly a list where we could follow up on things. And that was good enough.
So the last thing that we did was to establish change control boards meeting on different levels. What we did was like in Eskilstuna, we arranged the CCB meetings every second week. In Bråås.
The other week?
The other week. And then CM responsible, myself and Margaretha, was sitting, participated in both CCB meetings just to know what's happening and what's coming in, and report the status, what we are doing on the different sites. Of course, we document it as well. That's an important thing, to document the outcome of it.
What was the key to this was that we had these regular meetings. They were always booked for every week at a fixed time, and with invitations to all stakeholders. And with the basic rule that if you had something in this list of issues, you should be in the meeting. If you weren't in the meeting, we won't discuss your issue, because we need your input. That was the ground rule. And sometimes we had to go and fetch people because they didn't think they were needed, or they had something more important to do. And since we had these regular meetings every week, or every second week for mechanics and for software, not too much could happen during these weeks. And we'll come back to that when we talk about the timing, because timing was important in this case. Another key is this, that we had several levels. We had a CCB on project level in Bråås. So if there was something that was concerned only Bråås, we kept it in Bråås. If it's something that was only in Eskilstuna, well, you did your deal. And if we had something that was connecting both, had dependence to both hardware and software, we need to put it one level higher. And if you look into the literature of how to work with configuration management, I haven't yet found anything that says do make several layers of CCBs. So you can actually escalate it to the level where the interface is jointly owned. That was a really key finding. When we cracked that nut, we actually had to go.
Because talking about this, when we think about that we are developing the electronics, I mean the electronics should work with the engine, with the driveline, etc. And then they need to cooperate with the CCBs, so everything works together. So that's a big challenge to do it. There's different levels that we need to that have impact on the changes, and you must understand that this is an important thing. So there's different rules depending on what type of product you are developing.
So looking at what is created, what good stuff we came out of, these common CCB meetings, they create an understanding that there is another piece of the machine that we don't see. And we need to talk about changes that are involved to both sides. Common sense, but not so common. And no changes are allowed without an informed decision in the CCB. Basta.
So, of course, KPIs shows the progress, the result, how many changes have come in, how many are under development, under testing, how long time does it take within a specific function, because that you can see that in this functionality it takes lots of days or weeks or months to develop, and why is that? You can analyze it and then you can improve your process as well. What's the reason for that? Okay, do we lack the resources or wrong competence or something like that? So there's different things how you can measure this for sure and work with it to improve your process.
And if you have a happy manager, our construction manager, Roland, he started to smile because he was in control. And when Roland smiles, it's good. Yeah. A common baseline, we know what we had, and everybody knew what we had. We could actually start testing when testing was planned to start.
So of course, why? Volvo needs to be participating in this race, otherwise they don't have a job. That's the reason that we have to improve it. It's like a lean thing. I mean, you guys from Scania, I know that Scania have worked a lot with lean, as well as maybe other companies, to do the right things. And this is a way to see, to analyze the process that, okay, what's not working, and we improve it and do the right things. So it's like a concept for that. And I'm not sure now we have people from Volvo Construction. I know that Kapfält, do you have worked in this process? Any feedback on that?
It was quite okay. It was really good.
Okay.
It worked for me anyway. For my department, I was working with lastare.
So Kapfält in the wheel loader for the project.
Yeah,
that was
project,
the lowest level of
Lowest
CCBs.
level,
And then we have a product platform where I will start working now on the platform level for the wheel loader as well. So.
But I was also on the platform's CCB.
Yeah. And Robert, I don't know if you have any comment. How does it work today? Do you recognize this, what you say, because now you're responsible for this? Or
Could you stand up? We can hear you. See you? Yes, you have to.
maybe you can tell us about how does it work right now? I mean, is it still established? Or?
Absolutely, it works fine for parts of the product platforms or the machine types. So
Yeah.
we don't have it established for all of these, but the work is ongoing. And as you write there now, driveline and engine, I don't think those were established.
No,
No.
because I
On the way.
when I left Volvo in May 2013, I think it was. I had several meetings with the engine and driver, and I know that they were interested. But it's about resources. Someone needs to drive that home, and we cannot cope with it. I mean,
I can just tell that since that the driveline has already established the CCB also.
Good.
Line levels also.
yeah,
In new projects they are also doing this.
perfect.
And engine manager or the director for engine is also willing to start it. So.
Yeah.
Good.
So I'm really looking forward to coming back to you and see
Yeah.
how the process and help you guys there. So, any more comments?
Yeah, just building on the insights from Volvo, because I also live with it. And I can see that it has found very good roots on the product platform. And I would say, you said the engineers are a stakeholder, and I think the stakeholder you need to convince that this is a good thing sometimes. It's not that they're asking for it, put it that way. They like to postpone this as late as possible because they only see this as constraint administration. Let us do we had a discussion yesterday, prototyping, no, hands off. We want to do this without being constrained. So, but I think there's a selling point here. I mean, they actually, again, as we're going to talk today, even if you work very agile, you need to have the baseline and you need to know what you're working on. So, and once that sort of falls into good minds, then I think this is really going to flourish.
Yeah. I'd like to add one more thing, which I think you should look at when you establish CCBs and CM at all. Look at the lead time for different development activities. We thought that software would be a much faster process than the mechanical part when we started this thinking. When we analyzed it and we put the time scales side by side, we found out that the mechanical development was much more agile, had much shorter lead times in making prototypes and activities in general. Whereas the software development, that was like having a baby. It took 9 months from requirements into getting something out of the system. Which means that we have to synchronize and understand that the different time constant, as I put it, may cause problems. We need to be aware of that. And we didn't see it at first. When we found out that, we could actually address those issues. So that's one.
I have a question, maybe it's a little bit detailed, but you wrote it here that the quality and effectivity is higher. How you can show it? Because I think in most of the cases when you are changing something, if you can show that the new process or the way you are working is much more better, then you can convince that people can accept it better. But in most of the cases, when you don't have nothing, then you can show that it's better now. How you could show it there?
We noticed there was less rework. There was a match between the software that actually should be on the machine, that it worked when it was installed immediately, not by installing it and finding, no, it doesn't work. What's wrong?
You mean that you had some statistic that I don't know?
Yeah.
From the KPIs.
Yeah.
The
KPI. I mean, they had some KPIs that
Yes.
they showed. Okay.
Yes.
Yeah, of course. And then you can see in the organization, I mean, it's a lot of brandsläckning. I mean, what, in English, I'm sorry. But people are going to talk with different guys about these things. I mean, the chaos thing. I mean, that's for sure. You can see it if you come in an organization.
That's why you started with problem recording.
Yeah. And we also know
that we have problems today.
Yeah.
I
Did you know
think in
that?
most of the cases you know that's a problem, but how huge, how big it is, and then when you are presenting something new, then everyone is against it. And if you can prove that you will solve these problems, then it's easy, but not most of the cases it's so easy to prove that.
Yeah.
Yeah, but if you, this is the most important thing, that you measure things to improve a process. I mean, otherwise you don't know. You don't know. I mean, you go to the field and talk with people, but if you show this statistics, I mean, that's what the management needs. Yeah, you need it, and then you get the money for sure.
Okay, so any final thoughts for this before we move into the next?
Oh, sorry, we do.
Yeah.
Okay, any further questions or thoughts? Do you recognize this scenario from your companies? Yes, no, no, yes,
Yes.
yes,
Only
no.
Volvo.
Sorry?
Only Volvo.
Oh no, Volvo. Not the Scania.
It's everywhere.
Okay,
Seems
thanks.
like you